Good morning. I'm your host, Matt Jaster, for Revolutions, the show where we talk about the latest technologies in gear manufacturing. I'm here today with Antoine Türich from Gleason Corporation. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So give us a little background on some of the new features and capabilities of the 200GX and 260GX threaded wheel grinding machines.
Yeah, so when we developed the machine, our first goal for sure was to produce a grinding machine which is very productive, providing the shortest possible cycle times to our customers. So this was obviously the main goal since it is a high productive machine. But in addition to that, we put also special focus on certain topics such as short setup time, a very important ease of use of the machine, as well as smart technologies such as twist controlled grinding, polished grinding, as well as closed loop systems. So these kind of things that were main goals of the development for this grinding machine.
And how easy is it to set up the machine?
So I was a little bit surprised because when before we start, that's the usual thing. Before we start a development, we do a voice of customer. We call it VOC. To get a better understanding of what are the real customer needs, because which is in our head might not fit exactly with the needs of our customers. And we learned that even in a high productive environment, setting up machines is a pretty significant topic. And so we decided to put a special focus on that as well. And so we that's in the beginning. And so our machine now is extremely easy to be set up. We found a solution where we can do it with just one tool only. It's a simple Allen key to set up the complete machine, changing grinding wheel, dressing tools, fixtures, gripper inserts, and so on. And the whole system is software guided, so the user gets clear instructions on the screen just by pictures, not by reading text, because nobody is reading text. The picture is typically better than reading text. And then we have created another cycle which helps after the mechanical setup. You also have to reteach the machine, and these things were done in the past, let's say more or less manually. The operator had to set up the dressing disc into the grinding wheel, more or less manual or using camera systems. Far too complicated. We have created a so-called first part cycle. That's a full automatic cycle which does all the required work after the setup full automatically. So the user is just kicking off one cycle and then the machine does everything full automatically. So I would say a very nice cycle, and our customers very much appreciate the ease of use of this setup cycle. Yes.
How is twist control grinding an effective process for gear manufacturing, and what differentiates your method from others in the market?
Yeah, so twist, or here in the States, quite often it's also called bias, is a general phenomena in all grinding processes. Doesn't matter whether it's thread regrinding or profile grinding, and it appears on all helical gears with lead modifications such as crowning. And not everybody is even aware that when you do grind a helical gear with modification, then you get a so-called, we call it the natural twist. The topography isn't as it should be, and the problem with that twist is that it is negatively impacting the meshing behavior of the two mating gears. And so more and more, let's say, gear designers are becoming aware about this effect, and this is in contradiction with increasing load capacity, and also can negatively impact the noise behavior. And so we at Gleason, we understood this problem pretty early, and we have developed for profile grinding and thread regrinding very sophisticated methods to compensate or to control a desired twist. And to your question, what differentiates us from others, I would say very easy. So our twist compensation method is the only one in the market which does not affect the cycle time. So the grinding time, it does not affect the dressing time. And the result of that is that the costs are not significantly increased when applying twist compensation compared to let's say a standard grinding, which is a pretty important advantage. And it's interesting. We have some customers in the beginning, they cannot even believe that what we are promoting. And then we did a lot of let's say trials and showing them, and then customers are very surprised about seeing this. Yes.
Okay. Could you explain a little bit about your closed loop system?
Yes, so closed loop system is another innovation which we actually, the idea came from a customer.
Okay.
And because we introduced this many years ago at a US-based customer, he had a Gleason inspection machine and he had one of our Gleason honing machines, and he asked us, hey folks, why aren't you connecting these two machines together? And we were thinking about, yeah, that's obviously a good idea. So we developed nowadays we call it closed loop system. So what this system is doing is that when part is being inspected on the inspection machine, so typically the operator gets an inspection sheet which where he has to look on, and he has to decide, well, is it good or not, or maybe he has to do some correction, and then he goes back with this inspection sheet typically to the machine and makes a decision whether to correct or not, and then he has to make some inputs and make correction. And it's very obvious that this process, depending on the skill of the operator, is he can make mistakes and so on. So the closed loop now is sending the data directly from the data from the inspection machine into the grinding machine. The grinding machine compares the actual measured value with the nominal value and decides whether to apply a correction or not. So it's a fairly nice system. And meanwhile, we have rolled out this system to our other production machines as well. So we have it for our grinding machine, we have it for power sculpting machine, for honing machine, for other machines as well.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about your automation solutions. How do they enhance the productivity of this equipment?
Yeah, so automation is also a very important topic. Since I said in the very beginning, the main goal of our grinding machine was to produce a high productive machine, and it is a high productive machine. So using latest tool technologies on our machines. Meanwhile, to give you a rough number, cycle time, so floor to floor time for a typical disc type automotive part can be in a range of just 20 seconds. So it's very important to feed the machine with parts, because every 20 seconds you need another part. So and Gleason has an automation division where we are producing automations, customized automations. And for the GX, we have different systems available, basically two systems, which are very common in the industry. One system picking parts from conveyor belts, because still many customers are using conveyors to transport their parts. And another one is a loading cell system where a robot picks a part from trays, baskets into the machine. And in addition, we have additional options such as spin station, which is more or less standard in every grinding machine, but also things like part marking, part washing, roll checking, or even now our newest system, which we are showing here at IMTS, the GRSL, which is a combination of roll checking and laser checking. So it's a very a nice system, getting direct feedback from the part. So these things can be easily introduced in our automation systems.
Okay. How is customer demand shaping R&D at Gleason today, particularly with grinding machines?
Yeah, I think I can answer this in general, because customers are driving our R&D. I just gave you the example about the closed loop. It was a customer idea, and I gave you the other example. So our process, our development process, forces us to do voice of customer first before we even start the development. So we are listening very carefully to our customer needs, demands, sometimes wishes, whatever. And then we sit together with our engineers and see what we can do. So I would say, if I'm thinking, I cannot even think about a development which did not really had a customer idea. So it is definitively pushing our R&D activities. Yes.
Well, let's look ahead to the future here for the final question and talk about how gear grinding market will change in the next 5 to 10 years, in your opinion.
Yeah, a good question. I was expecting such a question. The problem is nobody has the magic crystal ball to look into the future. But I think for grinding, grinding will definitely has its place in the future. It will play still an important role. Grinding is a hard finishing process, and with the electromobility, which will for sure come, nobody knows exactly the speed, but it is already ongoing. So with electromobility, there will be less gears, which we are not very happy about it, but that's the future.
More quality, right?
But the quality will definitely increase. So the RPMs of electric engines are much higher than compared to combustion engines. So this puts much higher demand on the gears, and so the quality are getting tighter and tighter quality demands. So hard finishing, particular grinding, will play a very important role to achieve these demands. And the other topic for sure is the topic of IoT, Internet of Things. We at Gleason, we call it Gleason 4.0. So the connection between the tools, work holding, clever systems, predictive maintenance. We have a system which we call Fingerprint, where we, before we ship a machine, we monitor the behavior of all axes and spindles. We store them, and from time to time, our customers can repeat this test and see whether there is a change. And once, let's say, an axis behave different, it's a clear indicator for that obviously something has been changed and maybe requires a service. So those things will become much more important. And yeah, so I'm pretty curious to see what's coming up in the future. But I'm personally convinced that gear.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you
for
much.
watching Revolutions. And if you want to see more videos, log on to www.geartechnology.com/TV.